Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the third session of our Global Conversation series. Today, we are going to segue from destination-specific topics and discuss different methods of traveling privately within your immediate family, maybe your extended family, or even a group of friends that have perhaps been in your travel bubble for the past few months. Joining us today are three guest panelists from very specific travel niches. Liz Howard is one of the world's premier charter brokers with Fraser Yachts. Liz has over a decade, hi Liz. Liz has over a decade of experience locating the perfect yacht charters in ports around the globe with an eye on superior service and the perfect motor or sailing yacht for each and every one of you. Vinita Bhatia joins us from TCS World Travel as their Director of Business Development. Hello, Vinita. Hi. And if you're not familiar with TCS, they are the industry leader in luxury jet expeditions with clients such as Four Seasons Private Jet Experiences, Smithsonian Journeys, Kalos Golf, several prestigious alumni institutions, as well as YPO. It was through these private jet expeditions that TCS developed their customized private jet experiences and also added a division for private home and villa rentals. Your travel designer and TCS collaborate together based upon your unique preferences and design custom jet itineraries just for you. Fidencio Fuentes joins us from On Point Events. Hello, Fidencio. For the past 16 years, On Point has been providing discerning travelers with once in a lifetime experiences at your favorite events around the world. From the Olympic Games to the Masters, we work with On Point to create itineraries that not only access the events themselves, but behind the scenes experiences, transportation to and from, accommodations, and even touring, all customized to suit your particular interests. So thank you for joining us today. I hope everyone had a relaxing holiday weekend, maybe smaller and a little bit different from past years. And for me, it seems really strange that I'm not up to my eyeballs getting ready for a super hectic travel season. But that being said, I see many, many positive signs on the horizon as it pertains to travel. Good news as maybe 2 or more vaccines are going to become available soon, and many, many more destinations are opening up, subject to strict entry requirements, which I just think is going to make everybody feel more comfortable as it pertains to travel going forward. So, Vinita, maybe you'd like to start us off. TCS works across several different travel segments, and since your business start in the past or leading up to this year were the amazing jet expeditions planned each year, I'm curious, given the high demand this year for more private and exclusive experiences, what sort of trends are you seeing emerge with the customized private jet itineraries? I mean, has there been a shift at all from what clients are looking for from either summer to winter or even destination specific? And do you see any of these trends sticking around once the pandemic is behind us?
Absolutely. I think what's interesting is that, as you mentioned, our core business has always been those luxury jet expeditions. And obviously, given entry requirements, those are just very difficult, if not impossible to operate. And so through our private custom travel team, where we work with travel advisors like yourself to curate these really bespoke trips, we've seen a lot of interest from people who, they want to travel. They want to travel, but they know realistically they need to stay a little closer to home. And so what we did earlier in the summer or in the spring was really pivot to create some of these sample itineraries to inspire people to travel, but just closer to home, because we knew that's what people wanted. There are definitely some very clear themes. They want privacy as a way to minimize the risk of COVID. They want to come together as a family, so that idea of traveling multi-generationally, grandparents wanting to see their grandkids. Those are things that we are hearing a lot. We always have, but more so now. And so what we really tried to do was, we tried to create these itineraries to get them to travel, but just stay closer to home and do it in ways that we knew people would feel more comfortable. So if we think about traveling by private jet or traveling and staying in a villa, those are things that people tended to feel a little bit more comfortable with. And so that's what we started to do, just to get people out there and traveling again. You know, earlier on, people were a little wearier for sure about getting away. There's a lot more fear, but I think as we've learned more about how to travel safely, and you know, the expertise our team brings, we've seen more people booking. There's a lot of inquiries, and I think we're all hearing similar themes about, you know, the fact that people are going to want to travel again, travel soon. And we don't see some of those types of trips changing, at least in the near term. I mean, we will pick up our jet expeditions, but in the near term and in the next couple of years, I think seeing family and doing it in a way that people feel like they're safe and secure is going to stick with us.
I really loved some of the sample itineraries that you guys were doing to the national parks and, you know, exploring our own backyard here in North America that people, you know, tended not to think about so much. So you know, I do think that those trends will stay around a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
it's interesting. Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I think it's, you know, I live in New York, and our inclination is always like go abroad. You know, Europe is a 5-hour flight. And to think that like there's so much beauty here in the US that we just don't think about exploring because it feels so easy, you know, being able to really revisit that and do it in ease and convenience has been really interesting. And it's inspired me to actually explore more within the US and North America in general as well.
Yeah, I agree. Liz, so on many levels, this was, I'm sure, a very crazy year to be a yacht broker. On one hand, leading into the summer 2020 European yachting season, I'm sure just like us, you were hit with a slew of cancellations, postponements, and just trying to shift charters around from where people couldn't go to where people could charter. And now going into the winter season, there's, you know, the entry requirements are just constantly changing. So what would be some of the important things for our clients to be aware of going into chartering for 2021? And then I think that, you know, sometimes when clients hear, you know, yacht charter, they envision, you know, a mega vessel, perhaps owned by somebody rich and famous that comes with that rich and famous price tag. And we know, of course, that there's much more to the world of yacht chartering than these mega vessels. What are some of your favorite options for a family or a small group of friends that offer really fabulous experiences, but perhaps without that mega yacht price tag?
Wow. To begin with, you know, the question about, you know, places to go and what to expect for 2021. I think that people are going to still want to stay closer to home, if not for reasons other than just, you know, being closer to the medical system we have here and that kind of stuff. And chartering has become, actually, it's gone back to what private yachting used to be, in that it's being on board a yacht, self-contained, with all the luxuries, all the amenities, and the people, you know, you nearest and dearest to you. It's not, people aren't looking to be stern to in Saint-Tropez. They're not looking to, you know, go to all the nightclubs in the south of France. So yachting is this, you know, this self-contained bubble of, you know, water toys and a great chef and great service. And it really is fairly ideal for the current situation. But yeah, and as far as price tags, I think, well, locations, you know, you mentioned locations. So I think as far as staying close to home, I think summer 2021, we could do a lot in the Med. I'm guessing, you know, I hopefully with the vaccine, it will open up, but I think the Med won't be the south of France. It'll be like, you know, Sicily, Aeolian Islands, you know, kind of more remote, and which is the beauty of yachting. You know, you can go places that you can't go otherwise, and not have to, you know, pack your bag and relocate to the next stop and unpack and at the next hotel or villa. So, but I do think it's going to be more remote destinations. I think places like Croatia that have made it fairly easy and were not impacted heavily by this whole thing. And again, you know, dramatic places to cruise that, you know, you're not inundated by, you know, shoreside cities, that kind of thing. But until recently, the places that have been most, that I suggest most, that have been most easily accessed and have the most to offer would be flying into St. Thomas, which is US Virgin Islands. So you have the Virgin Islands, you have the Caribbean, but you're flying into a US port. So you don't have all the, you know, the visa and the logistics of the COVID testing and all of that stuff, which is so nice. And you can easily do a 7 to 10 day itinerary just in the US Virgin Islands and never, you know, feel like you're trapped in a small area. The Bahamas has made it very easy to charter. The Ministry of Tourism there, or, you know, private jets and private yachts, has gone above and beyond to, well, the bottom line is they don't want to lose the revenue, but they have made it, they were the first place to open up internationally. And, you know, our industry has had huge successes with chartering there. The complications being that, you know, everything changes, you know, the requirements change. So, you know, oftentimes I don't know till a week in advance what exactly, you know, is going to be needed to get there, but they make it happen. They want our client base to be there. So that's been a very successful. The other one is Tahiti. French Polynesia has very limited impacted so far, and they've opened up their borders for quite some time now, and that's been a success. And for people from the West Coast, it's really not that, you know, dramatic of a transit. You know, for people from the East Coast, yeah, French Polynesia can be a little daunting. It's pretty far, but really, you know, you take off and you arrive at, you know, it's one sleep away is what it is. It's just so that's easy. Those are the, you know, New England this summer, you know, again, a U.S. port, Florida, Keys, you know, U.S. port, but yeah, those are the most ideal places for charter at this point. But the biggest thing is making sure that, because private yachting is unique in that every single yacht is owned by an individual. So you really have to have a broker or you know, a representative that knows what's important to the owner. So if you have an owner that, you know, is going to keep a really professional crew, and you know, one of the most important things were the yachts that the crew immediately had, you know, a plan of cleanliness and a plan of, you know, attack for guests coming on board. They were ready. They knew, you know, what they had to do. They knew, you know, how to keep the crew safe and healthy, the guests safe and healthy. But it starts from the top, and I think that's why, you know, having someone who really knows the details of the crew and the owner is so important.
So important.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions and probably not so specific answers, but that's what I got for the moment.
Well, we have lots of questions, so.
Okay.
Fidencio, woo, 2020, bit of a wild ride to be an event planner. I mean, concerts, cultural events, theater, major sporting events, all canceled, postponed, and of course reimagined without live audience participation. When we spoke a couple weeks ago and we were talking about the Tokyo Olympics, of course, you know, rescheduled for July 2021. And, you know, when we were talking, you said you were really confident that the show would go on for July 2021. So moving into next year and talking about 2021, what other popular events do you envision taking place, and what would our clients need to know if they're interested in attending some of these special things? Because I really imagine that securing tickets is going to be even more challenging than ever, just because the capacities are going to be restricted.
I think there's some validity what you're saying about the capacity being restricted. I know the first domestic event upcoming is going to be the Super Bowl in Tampa, and they've already announced that they're going to be at approximately 25% capacity. So what that means to a fan is that their tickets are going to be more expensive, and they're going to be more limited because it's going to be all about supply and demand. As far as domestically, the events that are probably going to be the most sought after are going to be the Masters, which is always, and the Kentucky Derby. The Final Four, that will be a little more challenging with college athletics. They're probably going to be a little bit more restricted as to the attendees. So in the beginning of next year, it's definitely going to be Super Bowl, Masters, and Kentucky Derby. And what it's going to look like for clients is they definitely want to start thinking long and hard as to whether or not they want to attend. You mentioned Tokyo. They just made an announcement that they're not going to mandate any vaccines for any international travelers. What they're going to ask is that people will actually get tested 3 days prior to their departure to Japan. And what they're going to introduce is a new app that they ask the attendees to download on their phones, where they're going to essentially look at where people are and where they've been as far as contact tracing. But fortunately for us, and thankfully, as of now, none of these major events are going to mandate any form of vaccinations. And it's just going to require people to be a little bit more forthcoming as far as their conditions and how they are, and just think about what they're willing to say about themselves, and letting the officials of the entities, whether it be Augusta National, Churchill Downs, NFL, whatever the case may be, letting them know whether or not they've been sick.
Interesting. And, it's like it changes all the time. So that's why I think, we really love partnering with companies and organizations like the three of you, because there's so much information, and just staying on top of it is 99% of the battle. And, it's a full-time job, right? Just with everything constantly changing and updating from day to day, what the entry requirements are for destinations, what the testing protocols are, and everything like that. So it's truly a partnership and a relationship, and we truly rely on partners like you. So, because it takes a village. So Vinita, I'd love for you to take us through what a custom private jet experience is like, and how does it differ from a normal customized itinerary that we typically design for our clients. For clients who might be a little hesitant because maybe, it's the connotation of private jet, and they think it's too ostentatious or maybe too uber luxury for them. What's the best way to convey that it's really about convenience, safety, security, and a great way to overcome today's challenges?
Sure. Yeah. So, so our custom private travel team, it grew organically out of people who took our jet expeditions and really loved that level of service and the ease and the convenience, and just like the hand holding that we did along the way. So they would take one of our jet trips and say, we really love that. Can you do a safari for my family, or my honeymoon, in the south of France? And so that same approach is how we think about any private itinerary that we do. And because we have that expertise when it comes to jets, it was just a natural fit to look at creating these trips that we can enable, which enable our guests to travel wherever they want, frankly, in a private plane. And, prior to COVID, obviously, there was a lot of that was done abroad. So people that wanted to go, we did a family of 23 who did a multi-generational trip, family history tour in Ireland. And we curated every stop along the way with surprises and delights. And similarly, that's what we're doing here in the US. And again, the itineraries that we've created for travel in North America are purely sample, just to inspire. We can work with you as our travel advisor, Jolene, to really customize them. If they've already been to, the Grand Canyon, we can swap out for another trip or whatever. But the idea is that when it comes to creating an itinerary, we'll work with you and your clients to understand where do they want to go? What are their interests? Do they enjoy culinary? Do they enjoy outdoor activities? It's so personalized, and nothing is created from scratch. We have these samples, but we take those as a foundation and then really get to understand the guests and what they want to do, and then create something that is completely bespoke to their preferences. So, so that's kind of how it starts. In terms of flying by private jet, yeah, there is sort of the optics in some cases of people who say, you know what, flying privately just feels like, you know, really opulent. And the reality is, you know, time is very precious. Health and safety are things that we really value more than ever. And to be able to avoid all of those hassles of flying into large commercial airports and the transfer time and all of those small pain points, you know, you can't really put an amount on that. And you know, we tell people, like, if you're flying into, and I keep using the national parks as an example, but this could be Alaska, it could be Mexico, it could be anywhere really, you know, the East Coast of the US, the Caribbean, you know, we know what are the remote airports that we can land in, what's the right price for a jet charter. So if we're incorporating a private jet into your itinerary, how much should you be spending? A lot of our guests have their own jets already, but maybe they don't have the reach for where they want to go on this particular trip. So we know what they might need. Are they traveling with golf clubs or ski equipment, or are there children and adults? We'll work with you to understand exactly what their needs are and find a jet that really suits the needs of the itinerary. But that convenience, you know, not having to wait at the gate and have transfers between airports and spend unnecessary time in large commercial airports, again, a huge value of that on that. So I would tell anyone who's considering it that if you're flying first class a lot, if that's how you prefer to fly already and you've never flown privately, you know, yes, it's a bit of a leap in terms of cost, depending on the type of jet that you get, but the convenience and the time and the comfort of knowing that you're not, you know, in the masses of people flying into large airports, it's really worth it.
Well, and sometimes, I mean, let's say it's a family of 15 first class tickets. It's not a small chunk of change.
Right.
So you take that and you do the math, and then you say, well, how much would this be to do it privately? And it can sometimes be a small fractional jump. So, and then like you say, the time, just the time, the convenience, and in today's world, this, just the taking the risk out,
Right.
because you're just always within your bubble. It's something to think about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks.
And I would say just one quick more point on that. I'm sorry, is that you know, if you sometimes look online, like there's, you know, you can buy jet cards and there's memberships and this and that, and those things are great to look at if you're flying often, if you anticipate doing multiple private jet trips throughout the year, maybe that's worth the investment. But really, you know, if you're looking to do a trip, a one-time charter is a great way to go. And again, just using our expertise and your knowledge of what they're looking to do, that conversation will really help create that itinerary that best suits them at the most efficient price for what they want.
Yeah, good point. So Liz, we talked a little bit earlier about, you know, different destinations. So we touched a little bit of like hidden gems, and I'd like to kind of like revisit that a little bit, because I think that there's a lot of destinations that people are not top of mind. And then since some clients might be hesitant to book now for summer, not knowing what places we might be able to get to, what's going to be your best advice for that? So like hidden gems, I mean, you mentioned the Aeolian Islands, which personally, I mean, I love, and some people have never even, like, Aeolian Islands, where are the Aeolian Islands, and how do you get there? And then, you know, Croatia, I mean, gosh, just, it's so beautiful, and such, it's the Med, but better, right? I mean, well, it's not the Med, it's the Adriatic, but it's better. And even, you know, some small little parts of sailing in Greece that, you know, not the major, not Mykonos, not Santorini. So, but I don't want to steal your thunder. You take it away.
Yeah, I mean, it really, you know, just like Vinita was saying, it's so customized. So, you know, the first question being, are people looking for, you know, wildlife? Are they looking for, you know, white sandy beaches? Are they looking for culture or history? They're looking for hiking. Are they looking for golf? You know, I mean, that's where it all starts. So, you know, and now it seems to me people are looking for the more remote destinations, whether it's warmer or cold or whatever, for obvious reasons, to stay away from the crowds. But, you know, it's, I would say that, you know, I mean, I've done some, you know, some amazing, I was crew on yachts for many years. So I worked on board these boats and was able to do a lot of unique destinations. But, you know, even, you know, the Sweden, you know, the coast of Sweden is spectacular. There's, you know, that area that has like, I don't know, 3,000 islands or something. And, you know, people don't think about it. And,
Yeah.
you know, you go from one little, you know, those little huts with the fireplaces and this, I think they call them, I don't know what they call them, but they're like saunas. And it's, you know, that's it. People don't think of that kind of thing as what you do on a boat, but, and you can do it without the price tag we talked about, you know. You know, to do a, you know, 65-foot catamaran, whether it's motor or sail, it's a stable platform. You have a professional crew, and the price tag is going to be, you know, if you have a family of 8 and you were to go on a cruise ship, you know, with the, you know, the nicer cabins and all the extras, you know, all the trips and the excursions and the food, it's going to run you more than what you're going to pay for a completely private excursion on, you know, a catamaran or you know, a smaller yacht. And you have far more luxury. You have all the privacy, and yeah, I mean, it's going to be less than a family of 8 at like a Four Seasons resort.
And the flexibility. I mean, you really, because, you know, you're working with a captain and a crew that if you need to make a shift, you're able to usually make a shift. If you're on a big cruise ship, I mean, they're not shifting.
No, and very much like Vinita said, you know, we work closely with, you know, your clients to, you know what their history is, what they like, what they don't want, and to create an itinerary that works for them. The only thing that would, you know, prevent you from doing what you would want to do is safety. The only thing. Yeah. It's like you're the owner of the boat. You know, you can stay at anchor in one place for 7 days, or you can move 5 times a day. You can do whatever you like. Yeah. I will say that, you know, I work hard to try to put people in a situation that they're going to be happy with, and that, you know, I have people say to me, well, you know, I want to start in, you know, Greece, and I want to go around Italy, and I want to go up to, you know, Sardinia. And I'm like, no.
Well, if you have a month, perhaps.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. But yeah, but I mean, Croatia and Sardinia are amazing cruising. I mean, it offers everything. It offers beauty and you know, dramatic landscapes, and I mean, it's just, you know, places that people don't normally think to go to, you know. Right.
True. So, yeah. And I love the Virgin Islands. I mean, I've done a lot of cruising on sailboat charters, but I mean, to me, there's like no better place to spend on a boat with your family or a group of friends than.
Well, the Virgin Islands is so nice because it's protected, it's calm, you're never far from land, and you know, even people that don't have, you know, crazy great sea legs will be comfortable there. I mean, like the Grenadines and the Windward Islands is beautiful, you know, Grenada, St. Lucia, Bequia, but it is some open water, and you know, the guests have to be aware of that there may be some times when you're, you know, offshore and you don't see land, and it can be intimidating for some. But the Virgins really offer, yeah, like you say, it's protected, it's beautiful. Yeah.
God, I wish we were all there right now.
You're getting sad.
I know, right? All right. So Fidencio, for many clients attending an event like the Masters, a Kentucky Derby, a Super Bowl, you know, it's like a once in a lifetime event, let alone, you know, going to an Olympics in a destination like Japan. We really have some really cool Olympic destinations coming up. We've got Paris 2024. Winter Games are going to be held in Milano Cortina 2026. So how far in advance should we be recommending clients start thinking about advanced planning for some of these type of events, as accommodations can be really difficult, if not impossible, to come by at times? And also, you know, I'd be curious to know what some of your favorite lesser known events around the world are and what makes them so special.
As far as planning for some of these international events, a good rule of thumb is going to be a couple of years. And the reason I say that is most luxury travelers, they're planners. They like to know what's upcoming, what they're dealing with, and they like to know that they have things firmed up. And for us, we do a lot of corporate travel as well for entertaining and hosting of clients. So the reason people would want to book earlier is that the high end, whether it be luxury or deluxe accommodations within our packages, are going to be the first to go always. So what I would recommend, for example, with Tokyo, a lot of our clients started booking in 2018. You know, we've got the Beijing Winter Olympics coming up. People are booking for that. We've got the World Cup coming up in Qatar. People are booking for that. And we're going to always have options getting closer to the events, but the planners are going to be the one that always take advantage of the best options. So I always recommend for international trips like those that you would consider do the once in 4 year events. I would recommend 2 years in advance. I do have some questions from some of your folks asking about, you know, masters and some other things. Would you like me to answer those right now, or should I?
Yeah, we'll wait for the questions for the end. Yeah.
Okay. So as far as domestic, whether it be Super Bowl, Masters, Kentucky Derby, 6 months is a good idea of booking and planning for that. Once again, it gives you better options as it relates to the accommodations. We're always going to have options, even leading up to a week or two before the event. It's just that your options are going to be significantly diminished if you wait that long. As far as some of the events that I like or that I would recommend, the Final Four is a really cool one. But that's just me being a sports fan and just the purity of sport. That's
College sports are the best, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the national championship game, you know, for the playoffs. Now that they've done that format, that's another one that I would recommend. The Breeders' Cup is another one that's really cool. A lot of people like that one specifically because it's more economical than the Kentucky Derby, but you still get to see a lot of the same horses. And U.S. Open tennis is really unique and cool because
one of my favorite events.
Meadows, and then you also get to go to Broadway. We put together different experiences where they get to see some tennis and then something else. Last thing I'll mention that we do is we do a passport of sports where there's a few different variations where we'll put together some different experiences where people get to go to multiple baseball stadiums. Where they can go see different teams, but more specifically, they're wanting to see the venues than they are the teams, or different experiences where they would get to go to a college football game on a Saturday in a historical football site, and then go to a professional game on the Sunday. So we'll put together some unique experiences that are going to be regional and that they can actually appreciate some different areas or different venues, I would say.
That's cool. Yeah, for the real sports aficionado, right? Yeah, that's neat. Perfect. So Vinita, I can't tell you, you know, how super excited we are to be able to work directly with TCS to procure private homes and villas for our clients in certain destinations, especially within North America. I mean, I have to admit, procuring homes, private homes in the US is probably one of the most challenging parts of a travel advisor's job, just due to the prevalence of Airbnb and VRBO. I would love to get your take on this and why you feel it's advantageous to work with a travel advisor and a company such as TCS versus booking direct.
Right. I mean, and I think one of the points that you make about, companies like Airbnb and VRBO, everything looks nice on the website, and then people arrive and it's not what they anticipated, or the level of service isn't there. And so ultimately, a travel advisor is your consultant to create the perfect itinerary. And as we've said, all of us in different ways, that, that's so valuable now more than ever. You don't want to leave that up to chance. And so we would always encourage you to work with your advisor, who will consult with us to make sure everything that you want is taken care of. And there's someone who's accountable on the other side. When you book an Airbnb and you show up, like, there's really limited accountability. And what if something isn't working right, or it's not what you expected? With TCS, I would say, taking a step back from the villas, foundationally, when we think about creating any trip, whether it's a jet expedition or a private itinerary, there's a level of service that we ensure our guests receive, right? And so depending on the type of trip they take, we ensure that's going to be there. With our villas program, which is very new, but obviously born out of the need coming from the pandemic, we work with partners who we know deliver that level of service. And so there's a few partners that we work with. It's hard to say, like, we have homes in this city or that city. It's really, you kind of come to us and say, my clients want to go here. And then we work with our partners to see what homes are in that network. And again, it's a consultative process. But, imagine, Four Seasons Residences, they're a partner of ours. There are other companies that we work with, but we've ensured through our vetting process that they have that level of service and expectation that our guests want. If that's, a butler in the home every single day, if it's someone cooking all of your meals, transfers, a private car, stocking the fridge before you arrive. If you're celebrating some sort of milestone, we'll make sure that that's recognized. So those are all the things that you'll get that are above and beyond simply going on a website and kind of looking at photos and booking a home. It's really about curating that memorable, once in a lifetime experience, whether it's, in a national park or in a private home through our villas program. Either way, you're going to have a dedicated person who's created that trip for you, available 24/7 to ensure that you're having the vacation that you anticipated.
Well, and the home's been cited and vetted, and
that's right.
And what the neighborhood's like that they're
that's right.
in and everything like that, which is really important, because half the time when you're booking an Airbnb or a VRBO, you don't even know the address until you've already made your deposit. So you have no idea. It says, there's a name and a kind of a location, but you really don't know anything other than that. So yeah, I think all those points are really important.
At the end of the day, I'm sorry if I could.
No, go ahead.
I just, having a little PTSD from an Airbnb experience myself earlier in the pandemic for a family reunion, I will say too that, and not to single them out, but obviously they're a large platform in this space. They're a technology organization. It's a platform, and it's very transactional. And sometimes if you're not satisfied, or if there's an issue with COVID or something, like, there's limited recourse. And so I think having the consultation of an advisor and a partner like TCS on the other side of that will just give you a lot of comfort and ease when you're making that investment or booking something.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of brings me to my next topic, because I think some of the themes that the three of you and your companies and organizations have in common is, of course, exclusivity, the commitment to the highest levels of service, and then the experience, the expertise, and the partnerships to deliver. These are things at Your Travel Designer that we are so passionate about as well. So maybe each of you would like to give us examples that highlights how your organizations deliver on this for clients, specific examples. And Liz, I'm going to let you lead this one off, and then Fidencio and Vinita, you can give examples afterwards. So go ahead, Liz.
Well, I think like Vinita touched on, we, there's the follow through. If anything goes off track, you know, I and my company, you know, along with, you know, you, the travel concierge, are there to make it right. Whether it's in the middle of the trip, the end of the trip. I mean, I have spent many 24 hours or 48 hours just, you know, sorting something out, unbeknownst to the guests that even, you know, they're just having their good time. I think that's really important. I think it's also important that, you know, being a broker with, you know, one of the three largest charter brokerage houses in the world, we only use, you know, tried and true contracts that are, you know, backed by, you know, proper authorities, that proper legal binding. You know, especially with yachts, you know, it's you know, every yacht's registered at a different port. You know, I mean, we could go on and on, but knowing that what you're signing is going to cover that client no matter what, and especially in this pandemic situation. I mean, we all spent months, you know, protecting our clients and getting their money back. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I'm still doing it, and now you know, now we're creating, you know, new contracts that protect them from, you know, this sort of thing. But you know, I hate to kind of talk about the negative, but that is something you have to be wary of. That, you know, if something goes south, you want someone there to take care of it, and not, you know, not an internet site where there's no recourse at all. I mean, it's just you know, and you know, I'm, you know, as a broker, I'm affiliated with, you know, international and national organizations that back me up, you know, again, with contracts. You know, we have a legal department that backs me up. But I don't know. I one time in my life used like Expedia, and it was the worst experience ever. And I will never, I mean, I book everything with a travel agent, everything. I mean, I could be going from San Diego to LAX and I'm booking it with a travel agent.
Well, thank you.
You know, I mean,
Small businesses, please.
exactly. But so yeah, and again, I hate to talk about the negative, but I think that's something that we all have to, you know, keep in mind, especially with the price tags we're dealing with. I mean, it's not a small amount of money, and then there's safety involved. You know, you know, I just
And, you know, I think we need to be very clear that sometimes you can't solve each and every problem,
no.
but the client needs to know that the effort is being made to the nth degree, and that you have their back as much as possible. Not every problem is resolvable, you know, but the effort needs to be made, the true effort.
Right.
And you just can't say, well, you know, it's COVID, you know, so you know, and they need to know that you're there, that you're in their corner, and that you're fighting for them. So
absolutely.
So Fidencio, you know, we had this conversation several weeks ago, and I know that, like I said, this was a tough year, like a year like no other. But I think that you guys, wow, have done some, you know, and again, everything is fluid, right? But you guys really did some amazing things and showed your value to your clients and above and beyond. So
yeah, it you know, it was a challenging year for sure, especially in our space, considering that initially some of these events were postponed, some then were canceled, then they actually occurred without spectators. So definitely a challenging year. But fortunately for us, we've been doing this a long time, and essentially what we've been able to do is move all of our clients forward to the following or subsequent year for them to attend the event again. And I think you mentioned or asked, what is it that we do a little bit different? And to just jump on to what Liz was saying is we take a consultative approach what we typically try to do is always have conversations with our clients to figure out what it is that they're looking to achieve with their experience. A lot of times I'll nix some of the things that they think they want to do and just give them guidance. So that way they can stretch their dollar further and actually want to maximize value. Because whenever, I think about all the time, things are only expensive when people don't see value. And whenever they actually can recognize the value, they actually will be able to appreciate what it is that we're providing, because travel advisors and what everyone is doing, we're providing a service that a lot of people don't typically appreciate. But now I think since COVID started, there should be a significant amount of appreciation with the work that goes on behind the scenes. You guys have mentioned that people don't even know the battles that we're fighting with our partners, vendors, the fights that we're having. And all of that is happening behind the scenes and people don't recognize that. And I think that should be something that hopefully people will appreciate moving forward, is you have an advocate. You have someone that is actually looking out for your best interests, because at the end of the day, it's all about client retention. And, what's amazing is we offer once in a lifetime experiences, but over 60% of our clients are repeat clients because they continue to come back because of what we've done before. So that being said, we definitely want to make sure that they are aware of all the things happening, everything that we're providing, and for us, it's always about under promising and over delivering. I make things bleak. I want them to understand, because in our space, whether it be the Golden Globes, whether it be the Oscars, the CMAs, the Super Bowl, make sure that they're aware of all the negative things that can happen, because the last thing I want is for somebody to call me back mad because they were not aware of what could happen. So those are all the things that we always present to all of our clients. And another big thing for us is at pretty much 90% of all of these different events, we're there on site. So you do have the opportunity to have a conversation with us. We vet these things, and we're always going to be there prior to your arrival and be there post your departure, because we're there making sure everything's okay and then cleaning up everything after all the dust is settled. So those are the things that make us a little bit more unique than other people in our space. Is we do a lot of hand holding. We make sure that people are completely aware of what they're going to potentially experience, positively or negatively, and just make sure that they are completely aware. That guidance and knowledge is so powerful. Just making sure, because I would much prefer people not book with us if they don't like how things are going to be, than to book with us and then be mad post. I would much prefer, all the things that are going to happen or could potentially happen, and you say, what, that's a little bit shaky for me. I'd rather not do it. That's okay with me.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Vinita?
Yeah, it's I love this question, because there's like an embarrassment of riches to choose from when it comes to examples. But I think TCS as a company, when we think about travel, it's how do you remove every pain point associated with travel? How do you just make that the best, easiest experience possible? How do you make it truly memorable once in a lifetime? Because I think Fiducia made a great point about, it's only expensive if you don't see value. I really love that. But having been on a couple of our jet trips, just thinking about when you arrive into these private air terminals and, someone's carrying your luggage and all those little things, we're doing all the pre-work for you in terms of the visas and all of those little customizations. It's just so special, and it's very opulent, yes. But then I think about this lovely couple I traveled with who on the first leg of the trip asked for Reese's peanut butter cups on the plane. And every time they got back on the plane, there were Reese's peanut butter cups on their seat. And I always love that example, because it's such a small example of how we listen and how we deliver things that they might want and didn't even know they wanted. But when it comes to private travel, I think what our team creates is just so magical. I mean, I was going to try to change my background, but I know it can get a little weird if it's not white. But I have this great photo of a private trip we did for a group in Bolivia, where we set up a private lunch on the salt flats. And there was a local artist that came in and did this beautiful installation, and they had a private lunch set up for them. It's just such a spectacular photo. I mentioned the family of 23 who did the Irish Heritage Tour, and we surprised them on the plane with pajamas, and they had custom pajamas. They had a pajama party, and we surprised them with a historian in the town of their family heritage who kind of led them through their family heritage. One of my favorite stories too is a family that went to New Zealand and over Christmas, and the kids were worried about Santa not being there. So we set up a Christmas tree in their home with like custom ornaments, and we had all their gifts shipped out. So I give those examples of like these surprise and delights that people don't expect, but that really take that trip to the next level. You know, can you go to New Zealand on your own? Can you go to Ireland on your own? Of course. Can you do the national parks on your own? Of course you can, but how do you create those moments in a way that are just so spectacular and memorable that, you know, you feel like you got so much more than beyond what you spent on that trip? And so that's the approach we take to every trip, whether it's a scheduled jet expedition or if it's a customized private trip.
Yeah. Oh gosh, you guys are making me want to go somewhere. So speaking of going somewhere, and we're going to have to go quickly because we do have some questions, but real quickly, I want to know your personal, if you could just snap your fingers on January 1st, it's 2021, and go somewhere, what would your travel destination for 2021 be and why? And then what do you think is going to be the top destination for your clients in 2021 and why? And Fidencio, I'm going to let you start. Yours doesn't have to necessarily be a destination. It can be an event for your clients, but I'd love to hear where you would love to go in 2021.
Is this assuming that everything goes back to normal?
Yes, let's just assume. I'm going to wave the magic wand.
Okay. For me, a place that I would snap my fingers and go to would probably be Louisville. Louisville, Kentucky. They've got Museum Row. They've got the horse farms. They've got the bourbon distilleries. And it's just an amazing place because, you know, I'm in Texas and I'm from the South and I appreciate Southern hospitality.
Oh, yeah.
It's just one of those places that is just, you know, just amazing. I mean, they even have these banners that fly on their light poles that say Louisville, Louisville, Louisville. You know, they say, call us whatever you want, just come, you know, and those are the things that I appreciate, you know, and Augusta, Georgia is really amazing as well, but Louisville would probably be where I would want to be just because of everything happening there. Mm-hmm. As far as which experience would I want to snap my fingers, obviously I want Tokyo to happen. Mm-hmm. And they've already announced that things are going to happen, but there's nothing like the Masters. I've been doing this long enough that I've had clients that the father has booked a Masters trip with the son, and the son has returned the favor now because we've been doing this for 16 years. And the son has actually, you know, started their career, and they reciprocated and they brought their dad to the Masters. So I've been lucky enough to experience where the dad brought the son, and now the son is bringing the father. And you know, me being a dad, that's just something special about the Masters. There's no other event that hits home, and not even from just a personal level, but from a corporate level as well, because you have the opportunity to hang out with your clients if you're going to host or entertain people. And I've never seen anything more impactful than the Masters.
Great. Yeah. All of those things sound like sign me up. I've been to a Kentucky Derby once a long time ago, and I would definitely go back just so I could have another cool hat. And I really want to take my husband to a Masters. So, all right, Liz, you're next.
Well, as far as, I mean, off the top of my head, based on where I've been and where I would go back to and where was the most amazing experience of my life, it would be Antarctica.
Wow.
Nowhere I ever thought I wanted to go.
Yeah.
I was given the opportunity to go cruising there for 10 days. I think it was a year and a half ago. And I can only describe it as otherworldly. It was the most amazing experience. There's no way to describe it. And I knew nothing about the destination, to be honest. I had done a few charters there. I knew the logistics, but I didn't really know the experience. People that I sent there knew they wanted to go there. So, you know, I made it happen. But, you know, Vinita was sharing, you know, the kind of above and beyond. The first charter that I ever put together in Antarctica, it was a family of 12, 3 generations. And the boat had prepared and organized a camping excursion one night on an iceberg. And they all camped out on this iceberg and floated like 3 miles. And they had no idea it was going to happen. Like they didn't know that was part of the deal. And I mean, you know, I don't think things like that can be topped. I mean, it's just, you know.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. You know, and then, you know, as far as where I haven't been, you know, I mean, I had a trip planned to, you know, like Africa that I was going to do, you know, the tent camping and stuff that I'm just waiting to be able to do. And, you know, I really want to do that hike in Spain and, you know, it just, yeah, stuff that, yeah, hopefully, but all of that, you know, again, I know better and I will only do it with organization and people doing it for me. Cause I guess I you know, I know what comes with that. It's just amazing experiences and easy. I'm a bit of a princess camper, so I don't want to be lugging anything but my water bottle.
Ditto.
Anyway, so yeah, that's what I would say for the moment.
Yeah. Vinita?
It's a tough question. It's like asking someone to pick their favorite child, right? I mean, I always say, like, if I have not been, I'm interested in going. And I also think I kind of use the lens of if I can do it through TCS, because it just makes it so much nicer. So I would say there's a lot of places I want to go. My dream right now is I would just really want to do the gorilla trekking in Rwanda.
So special.
We do several jet trips there every year. And if you go like on our Facebook page, like the pictures and the videos people post, it is just magical, absolutely magical. So that's very high on my list. I'd love to go to like Borobudur, Indonesia. It just looks so beautiful, to the Buddhist temples. I mean, it's so hard to say. Right now, I would love to be anywhere but here as we go into winter in the Northeast. So it could be a beach in the Caribbean or something, but there's no shortage of places. But I think of like, for me, I want to go to those places that are really esoteric, really off the beaten path. You know, all the stans. Like I was fortunate to go to Turkmenistan on one of our jet trips a couple of years ago, which is so off the wall, but I'm so glad to be able to have gone there. So that's kind of how I think about where I want to go next, just someplace that's really different, off the beaten path, but that I'll feel very enriched by.
Oh, sorry. There she is. We lost Liz for a sec. And what about, where do you think is going to be a top destination for your clients in 2021, Vinita?
You know, it's tough to say. I think we're, you know, right now people are still, you know, a little unsure because of the fact that we just don't know what's going to happen when people can travel again. But over the last few years, I mean, we've seen the theme of like, you know, for private travel, Scotland and Ireland have been really popular. New Zealand has been really popular. Safaris are always really popular. For our jet expeditions, you know, our around the world classic, which hits those really, you know, bucket list sites like the Taj Mahal and Petra, that's always popular, and I think will continue to be. So I think people just really want to explore. I think more than ever, people are anxious to explore, and you know, they just want to feel safe doing it. So I don't think that it's hard to pick the top 2 or 3 places right now. People are really inquiring all around, I would say.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to probably go over just a few minutes, but I want to get to some of these questions. So Liz, we had a question come in. It says, does it make sense to charter from Florida for a Bahamas yachting itinerary? How many days make sense if you were going to depart and return from South Florida? Kind of already know the answer to this question because I've inquired about this before, but I'll let you take it.
You know, that's one of those situations where it can be done, but I never recommend it. One of the reasons is it's only probably, depending upon the speed of the boat, a 8 to 12-hour run from Southeast Florida to Nassau. However, the Gulf Stream runs right across there. And, you know, even as crew waiting, we always gave ourselves a 3-day window to go over, because no one wants to get stuck in that Gulf Stream. It's miserable and very uncomfortable, and everything's got to be tied down. The other thing with doing a transit like that in open ocean is you're really wasting. I mean, everything's got to be tied down. There's no real service. You're wasting 2 days of paid charter in open water doing nothing.
And the flight over from South Florida to the Bahamas is quick and easy.
Exactly. And the beauty of Nassau is, you know, as you know, when you fly out of Nassau back to Florida, the customs for US is in Nassau. So you land as if you're landing from the US. It couldn't be any easier.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's the answer I was anticipating. So Fidencio, for clients, I'm going to put both of these in one question for you. So first part of the question is about the Masters. I know the Masters is coming up in a few months. How challenging is it to attend? And do you think it's worth the trouble? I'm worried the experience would be diminished with reduced attendance. What do you think? And secondly, Fidencio, for clients that had booked travel for overseas events, what happened when these events canceled, i.e. Wimbledon and Olympics? We kind of you mentioned that a little bit, but you can touch on it again. And what's your recommendation for lead time for planning trips that have an event at its core?
As it relates to the Masters, if they're looking at going to the 2021 Masters, I would highly recommend that they book ASAP. We've already, once this Masters was over in November, we started reaching out to our past clients because it's already limited on the badges. We deal with patrons to acquire these badges. And what a lot of people don't recognize for the events upcoming in 2021 is with them not happening in 2020, everyone in our industry pushed everyone to 2021. And what that means to people is that the availability is already diminished and limited because of the fact that everyone got moved forward. So if they're looking at 2021 Masters, I definitely recommend they do it soon. Is it worth the trouble? Yes. As I mentioned earlier, the Masters is an event unlike any other. If they're worried about their experience being diminished because of whether they have to wear face guards or, you know, any sort of items on their faces, what I would say, like I told people before, don't do it. Wait till 2022. If you're worried about how things are going to be and you're worried about it taking away from your experience, then I recommend you not do it. But at the same time, it is something that you should do. As far as the events that are happening overseas, we had Champions League, we had Euro Cup, we had the Olympics, obviously Wimbledon, the French Open. So what happened with all of those clients is all of their experiences got pushed to 2021. So we maintained all of their packages, all their hotel stays. The dates just shifted one day because of the way the calendar works for next year. But essentially what we did is we just moved all of their experiences to next year, and they're all getting to go again. Well, not again, but they're getting to go next year.
And the lead time, I mean, we talked about what the lead time is for an Olympics. You'd said 2 years, but if you were wanting to go to some of these other events like a World Cup or a Wimbledon, maybe obviously if you were wanting to go for 2021, you need to start planning now. But if you wanted to go, let's say for 2022, do you typically say a year out, 6 months out? What's a good lead time?
A year.
A year. Okay.
A year would be a good time because that gives them ample opportunity to, you know, arrange their travel, put it in their schedules, because most of these experiences, when people are traveling internationally, they're having to put together their itineraries, and we help them with that. But also, it allows them an opportunity to figure out any other things that they want to add pre or post, and we can help people with that. Most often, when they've traveled that far and spent that much money, they decide that they'd like to add on and do some different experiences on that, in that part of the world, because they don't know when they're ever going to go back.
Right. And that's what we work together with you and doing all of those things. So that's
Right.
always great. So Liz, last question. Is there usually a minimum charter length? It sounds like it could be a cool addition to a longer trip. So kind of like what we were talking about just now with Fidencio, like, incorporating an event into a trip. Sometimes people might want to do charter and then do, within a larger itinerary. So is there a minimum charter length? I mean, I know the answer to this, but I'll let you take it.
Yes and no. I try to keep charters between 7 and for Americans 12 days. I find that I want my clients leaving that boat ready to come back and not ready to get home. I think 2 weeks is a bit too much on a boat. But as far as, doing, like, if you were to do a week charter, yes, absolutely. Be in a beautiful resort. Like, I have people like who will stay in, I don't know, some fabulous resort that's right on the water, like in the south of France. And then the day they're embarking on the boat, the boat's anchored out there. They, the tender comes in, gets them, brings them off to the boat, and off they go. I mean, it's spectacular. But certainly in destinations, like you said, you want to, like we were saying before, you want to incorporate, I mean, this is a bad example because I don't like Athens, but you're certainly not going to do a Greek charter, pick up in Athens, and not spend at least a day seeing,
And you want to kind of get there, get over your jet lag, make sure, there's not any issues with flight cancellations or delays, and God forbid you miss the start of your charter or something like that. So, and I always think too, at the end, it's kind of nice if you have some time, you can end and explore that final destination that you're ending in. And Vinita, just out of my own curiosity, are there any minimum, for a private custom jet itinerary, do you have any minimum? You could do a 3-day.
I was muted, sorry. No, there's really no minimum. It's really whatever you want it to be. And again, the sample itineraries that we have can be adapted. But I think, Liz really touched on a great point that I thought about as well, is that pacing is really important. And, Athens is a perfect example of, like, yeah, not the best destination, but there are things you really should see while you're there. And so you want to give cushioning on either end so that you can ensure there's no, issues with travel. You want to make sure you see the things you have to see. And that's where the travel experts like yourself, Jolene, our consultants, come in, where we can tell a guest, like, if you're going to, this destination, you want to spend a night here, 3 nights here. I mean, that the pacing is going to be really important to make sure you're really optimizing every day of your trip.
My whole goal for 2021 is slow travel. Let's slow down. Yeah. We've had to be slower during this great time of pause. We should carry that forward a little bit and not, like, be going around checking off some, like, weird list that we've created in our heads. But that's just me. That's my list to Santa. Anyways, thanks everyone so much. I've so appreciated the time you've taken to be with us and our clients today. I wish everybody all the best for the holidays and an amazing 2021. So thank you.
Same. Thanks for inviting us.
All right. Take care.
Great day.
Bye. Bye.